Welcome to Practical Spirituality here at Eshet Torah in the Old City of Jerusalem, overlooking the Temple Mount. I'm not ignoring you. You don't exist. The belief in Judaism about God is that he is one. Now, when I say the belief in Judaism, I don't mean the belief in God. We're not into belief in God. The Rambam says we have to know there's a God. It's not enough to believe. In fact, he says that the Gentiles are allowed to believe, whereas the Jews have to know. And what does it mean to know anyway? How are you supposed to know there's God? I mean, you know you're wearing a red sweater, or you know there's a table in front of you, or you know you got 5 fingers on your right hand. So how are you supposed to know there's a God? So what it really means there is that you have to know that beyond a shadow of a doubt, this world's being or has been created by a being beyond creation. That much you got to know. You got to get to that intellectually. Different people have different intellects, so it doesn't matter what your level of evidence is. Meaning, if you look at knowledge, there's obviously absolute knowledge, like you have 5 fingers on your hand, and then there's deductive knowledge, which is going to be under that. You deduce it, and there's always a level of evidence. So different people need different evidence different people need different evidence on God's existence. So some people, a high school dropout is not going to need a ton of criteria, whereas maybe a PhD, maybe a physicist, maybe they'd like more information, maybe a historian or something, depending on also on your intellect itself, meaning your actual intelligence, will be how much evidence you may need. Whereas another person may go very low. They might go there and already say, hey, there's a God. Whereas another person might be quite difficult to get them there. But no one's going to there unless, of course, you get prophecy or something, which we just discussed. I think that Sri Lankan guy might have had. But, I think that's a PH, right? The problem with rabbis always spell prophet with an F. Unless you get prophecy, which is... don't hold your breath for prophecy. So chances are you're going to have some gap here between deductive and absolute knowledge. There's going to be a gap for you, and that's fine. When the Rambam said you have to know there's a God, he was saying you have to be able to deduce it. And we all live with deductive knowledge, nothing wrong with that. All of you got on airplanes to get here. You didn't know, you deduced it, that you'd make it. You risked your life. And you risk your life on financially, and you risk your life every time you get in a car, and you risk your life every time you're on a bike, because I may be on the road. And sorry, I was supposed to say walk. And you risk your life every time you get married. Like, are you going to know that's your soulmate? So it's okay. It's okay to live with deductive knowledge. You do everything else with deductive knowledge. Why shouldn't you be able to have your relationship with God with deductive knowledge? But the issue is here, there's something you just got to watch out for, is there's people, this guy here, who have the ever-increasing threshold. Meaning this guy's threshold was here. This guy's threshold was here. But this guy here has the ever-increasing threshold. You know why? Because his human psychology is anytime you introduce fear, if you introduce a fear to the equation, suddenly they get unintellectual. Meaning they'll get in a plane, because if they're seriously afraid of flying, they won't. But given that they're only semi-afraid of flying like all of us are, they will get on the plane. And if someone's seriously scared of marriage, so then they will push it off. And there's never enough evidence that this is the right person for them. And so it just gets pushed and pushed until they're in their 30s, 40s, or never get married because of their fear of intimacy, fear of relationship. And so when you introduce a fear factor, what happens is people's threshold for evidence gets dishonest. They become intellectually dishonest in their pursuit. And they pretend they're honest, meaning they'll ask you to set them up on a date, or they'll ask a rabbi a ton of questions, or they'll come to Eshet Torah and speak to all the intellectual rabbis who have proofs of God, or they'll go to a discovery seminar, or, they'll do all these things, but they're really jokers, these guys. What they're not doing is facing their fears. This is why once in a while someone will raise their hand in this class, and this girl says, Rabbi, I've asked a lot of rabbi this question and nobody knows the answer. So I know automatically. That if she's asked a lot of rabbis this question, nobody knows the answer. What's really going on is she doesn't want the answer. And it really serves her to not get the answer. When you really want an answer and it really makes a difference to you, so that answer is going to either hit you right between the eyes or it's going to be very close. And you're going to be able to move it between the eyes with maybe a little more clarification. Or perhaps speaking to someone else on the subject who maybe knows more about it. But if you really want something and it has to do with God or Torah or anything like that, seek and you shall find. But you got to be honest about your fear factor and how much it serves you to stay vague on God. And we do stay vague. Let me just prove it to you right now. Shall I prove to you how vague you like to be with God? How it serves you to stay vague? So here's a question. If you had absolute five-fingered clarity, absolute clarity that there was a God, is there anything you wouldn't do for God? There's nothing you wouldn't do for God. Like, you'd do anything for God. You'd be like Abraham, sacrificing your own child if you had absolute 100% clarity. Therefore, better stay vague, because if more clarity means you do it, so then more vagueness means more autonomy. And we all have this false sense of autonomy, as if you like lose your free will up here. You don't lose your free will up here. All you do is rake in more and more free will points with constant good choices, good choices, good choices, good choices, good choices, because you got clarity. So you still have free will, you just have a lot of clarity. But the rest of us have this weird unconscious desire for autonomy, because we don't like to see ourselves under God's microscope all the time, meaning nobody wants a surveillance camera in their bathroom. But when you live with full clarity of God, so guess what? There's a surveillance camera everywhere, and it's the surveillance camera, it's in your thoughts. You realize you're going to be judged for your thoughts? That's pretty freaky. Imagine you had a megaphone on your brain that you couldn't shut off, and you didn't know it, and you walked out of the house that day, and you're just walking down the street, and there's like full announcements coming off your head. Big megaphones coming off your head, like two big speakers are coming off, like horns coming off with announcing your thoughts as you're walking down Jaffa Street or Ben Yehuda. What would you do? You'd freak. You'd like find the nearest basement, just dive in there and just like cover your head with as many blankets as you could, and like, someone get this thing off of me. Well, God is fully aware of all your thoughts, which is really crazy because he's aware of my thoughts. How can you be aware of your thoughts in my mind? We don't realize how awesome God is. Like, God's like super intense. Not to mention, have you ever thought about this? Have you ever noticed how God's orchestrating your life for you? Have you noticed lately that your life's being totally orchestrated? What's your name? Maggie, you notice that? Things have been orchestrated for you? Okay, very good. Do you realize I'm being orchestrated for you right now? Well, guess what you're being? Orchestrated for you? Yeah, you're being orchestrated for me. All of you are. And I'm being orchestrated for you. And I have full free will right now, while you've all been orchestrated around me. And you have full free will right now while I'm being orchestrated around you. And your whole life's is being totally orchestrated as you make your choices, which is wild. And then the whole question, do you even have choice? But there's no way I'm touching that right now. But you're walking around your life in this full orchestration, but so is everyone else. So all the people being orchestrated are actually, now once in a while, have you ever felt the feeling where like God perfectly orchestrated you for someone? Meaning you went to the place, but it wasn't really open, but someone else was there who needed you, or, you know what I mean? Like, raise your hand if you ever felt orchestrated around someone else. I've felt that a lot. It's an amazing feeling. Amazing feeling to feel like, just like God literally put thoughts in my mind to puppet me across town to a closed door. That would, like, no one had been in that shop, had been out of business for half a year. And here I am at that closed door when this guy walks up and says, like, I needed to speak with you desperately. And I just thinking, how do I get in touch with you? And you're standing right here. And I've never stood there before. I'm just like standing at a closed door. So it's nice to be orchestrated for people. And it's a really nice thing. And then when people ask you whether you can help them, so you can actually go with it, because God orchestrated you for them. But you do have to be careful, because when someone's asking for help, you have to make them better somehow. You have to better their situation without worsening your own. Meaning, we always help like a candle. One candle can light 1,000 candles. So you have to, if it makes you worse helping somebody, that's not your job. And if it's going to be a kind of situation where it's not even going to get them better, so then what do? You buy the person a sandwich or something and move on. Like, someone with broader shoulders is going to have to help this case. This is not your case. So anyway, in case you're ever wondering when you're supposed to like jump in to help, you know what I'm talking about? Where you feel like, is this my mitzvah or is it not? It's kind of a tough call sometimes. So there's two things. One is, are you going to be the candle that doesn't get diminished by the mitzvah? And two is this person, can you really help this person? Or is this like way out of your league? And if it's way out of your league. So I'll give you one last way to know, is if yes to helping this person is a big fat no to you or your spouse and children, so then the answer is no. Okay, because that's diminishing your candle. So, but it's the way I like to say it is, if yes to them is no to you, the answer is no. If yes to them is no to you, the answer is no. And so that's something to be careful of in general, and also just in general for people, not to let people play your heartstrings if it's going to make you worse by saying yes to something, because there are great marketers out there that will get you into stuff that's really not going to be good for you in the long run. For example, there's a lot of marketing around alcohol, a lot of marketing around tobacco. There's a lot of marketing around, all kinds of things that are not going to make you healthier, junk food and stuff. So you got to be careful. Those could diminish you, and you want to be careful of that. And if a little is bad, then if a lot's bad, then a little's, really got to be seriously considered before you indulge. And then obviously there's people. There's certain people are really dangerous people, and they're good marketers for why you should be involved with them, and you got to be careful of those people, because yes to them is going to be a big fat no to you. And that's why some of these people who are womenizers, they know that every girl in the world is desperate to be loved. Boys also are desperate to love, but we'll take attention instead. Girls are desperate to be loved, and they will not take attention instead. They're just desperate to be loved. So there are men out there that know that. And so you got to be really careful that you're not a target. And when I say a target, what I'm talking about is really a girlfriend. Don't be anyone's girlfriend. You never give nothing to nobody without an insurance policy on your wedding finger, on your ring finger. You got a wedding policy on your ring finger, give it up. You got no insurance policy, so then you're going to be diminished by this. It might not be this week, next week, a month from now, could even be a year from now, but you will be diminished, and you'll be handing your husband less of you when you finally do get a man who's courageous enough to take you on as a spouse. Like the poor guy who finally had the courage to take you on, like to give him less than he deserves. He's the one who deserves you. And until a man's willing to put it all on the line like that with a wedding ring, the answer is no. And you don't be anyone's victim. And they're always going to market, just like Marlboro and just like Red Bull and just like Budweiser. They're going to be marketing, and their main word they'll be using is the word love, which is like a sacred word and not to be used cheaply, and certainly never to be used until there's insurance policies on the finger, and then you can talk love. Okay, so that was just a little advice. I always try to give a little advice in my classes, because so many young people here who could use a little help in navigating. Now we go back to God. So we have here the not to know there's a God is not getting in that relationship with God. Once you know there's a God, so now that it's about the relationship with God, because you got to have a relationship with this being, and it's kind of infinite. So it's a little interesting being a finite being, trying to have a relationship with infinite. You ever tried having a relationship with infinite? He's like, I haven't even tried that. Yeah, you ever tried it? No. You ever tried to have a relationship with the infinite? Great. Amazing. How's that going so far?
It's pretty dang challenging.
Dang challenge. So a lot of people try to have a relationship with the infinite. A lot of people don't even bother. Have you tried, Peter, having a relationship with the infinite? dabbling in it. It can be pretty frustrating for sure, and if I can help you, all of you, have this relationship, would you like to have a relationship with the infinite? If I can help you, it's really not as complicated as you think, and it also is. Chances are it's the trying that's getting in the way. Did you notice I was asking, you ever try to have a relationship? You notice my key word was try there. You ever tried to fall asleep?
Yeah.
How'd that go? I actually tried it last night for about 3 or 4 minutes till I realized what I was doing. And then I just went conked out. So you ever tried to experience Shabbat? Shabbat is the cessation of manipulating stuff. So how do you feel that? It's when you stop trying to feel it, maybe you'll feel something. It's when you stop trying to fall asleep that maybe you fall asleep. It's when you stop trying to love that maybe you might feel love in your life. There's a lot of things in life that are very sacred, and the way you get to them is by stop trying. So trying to have a relationship with God is not going to be very helpful. So that's the first thing you should realize, is stop trying. The next thing is that your conscious self, this will be a very good piece of information for a lot of you, or really anybody. Your conscious self is connected already. Your conscious mind is connected to God already. But you have another part of your brain that is the part of your brain that does all of your calculations and, all of your, the part of your brain that's, you have a big part of your brain that's worrying about navigation, like your life. Like even this class, like it's a little hard to navigate because you never know where I'm going with it. And so life, like just walking, if you walk out this door and you want to go towards the bathroom over there, you're gonna have to use the past to get there. Either whether it's your memory of where the bathroom is or your memory of walking, because good luck getting to the bathroom without remembering how to walk. So you're going to be definitely projecting your navigation to the bathroom. That part of your brain, which I just very simply described, goes out of control when you don't have it in control. That part of your brain, that just is the part of your brain that gets you across the floor or helps you drive a car down the street or helps you understand language or produce language. That part of your brain, when observed, when it's unobserved, that part of your brain can really go crazy. And did I say crazy? Don't use the word crazy now. Can really go kind of work overtime, like working overtime.
Off kilter.
And well, what it does is it basically hijacks the conscious brain, which is at one with God. So you're at one with God right now in your conscious mind, as long as you can get that part of your brain that's calculating the whole time out of the way. I'll give you in a proof, just to show you real quick, is that, can you think about now? Everyone take a moment and think about now. Like, can you do it?
No.
You cannot do it. It's because the now you'd be thinking about is already what?
Yes.
It's already gone. So your brain can't think about now. Now, where is God? When is God? Now. He's forever beyond. But God's USB cable interface with creation is when?
Now.
Where? Well, let's own our place here. Own your space here. He's interfacing now. Where? Here. That's the interface with God. But your brain can't think of now because it's already in the past. So therefore, you already know that using your brain is not going to be very helpful. Meaning that part of your brain. You have a lot of parts of the brain, but using that particular aspect of your brain is not going to be very helpful.
What about in the future?
The calculating brain's wonderful for the future. It's wonderful for the future, and sadly, the future doesn't exist. So we're wasting our time most of the time with the brain's job with the future. The brain's very good with the future, but it loves putting the future now. Like if my elbow's now and that's the future, so it loves throwing you over to here. In other words, it likes to dump everything you've got to do over the next months or years and put it all right here. And it all just kind of lands on you. Can you guys deal with your whole future now?
No.
That's what's anxiety. The anatomy of anxiety is when you project from now using that part of the brain that's calculating all the things you're going to have to be doing, half of which you can do nothing, more than half of which you can do nothing about right now sitting in this room. And what happens is it just becomes like a drawbridge and just dumps into now.
That's a good way of putting it.
And that creates great anxiety for people. And this is the definition of anxiety. But if you just let the drawbridge go back to where it belongs, you stay in the moment, and then you deftly, that's a fancy word, but it's with an F. You deftly plan your future. So as soon as it's planned, you can now not think about it because it's no longer going to be helpful or necessary at all to waste any of your brain, which eclipses your presence. So everyone take a moment for presence. You know, we'll do a snap on 3. Can you do me a favor and just turn off the AC for a second? When I say the number 2, you turn it off. Okay, it's going to go off for our snap. We're going to snap on 4. So we're going to count. Everyone's going to have the God experience. Ready for the God experience? Who wants to have a relationship with the infinite? Let me just repeat real quick. It is totally connected to your consciousness. It's just that your consciousness is constantly getting hijacked by that monkey brain of yours that keeps projecting and not to mention licking its wounds from the past. And if I can go a little further, that was a cool one.
I like it.
That was great. Not great for the video though. We can put that back on top switch. So yeah. So that just press it once, the top switch. So that, what was I just saying? Oh, another thing. Remember we spoke about you have to have known how to walk across the room? Yeah, you have to have that part of your brain that's calculating based on the past to get to the future. So you know about that? So check this out. It also, and any of you were in my class yesterday with a giant list on the board. So it also it reviews all the wounds you've ever gotten and then calculates into the future to make sure that situation, that scenario is never recreated. And so you walk through a maze, but the maze is covered with graters, like carrot graters. It's a maze, but the walls of the maze are graters, and it gets narrower and narrower as your life goes on because you have to be so vigilant to make sure no one ever peels you off and gets you back to those types of things. So your past mind, which suffered many boo-boos, meaning we all went through stuff. Yeah, there's nobody who was, I can tell you because I was the most bubble-wrapped person probably in this room. Like I was completely and utterly protected from anything ever going wrong growing up. And therefore, the few stupid things that happened were all it took to just knock me into a tailspin for years and years and years and years and years and years and years. And constant calculating, like, oh, what are they going to think of me here? And I hope they like me. And, wow, I better sound smart now, or I better be cool now, or I better this now, and I better that now, and I better that now. So you think I was ever at a party? I was never at a party. I was the biggest party animal, but I was never there. I was so busy with that calculating mind that the present mind couldn't be there. And you think I surfed all those years? I surfed 6 to 8 hours a day for 12 years straight. You think I was ever actually surfing? People used to ask me, what's it like out there? Because I was a big wave rider, so that you got like 20, 30-foot waves. And the answer is that I risked my life for 12 years in hopes that people would have something to talk about when we drink beers later that night for some insane wave I took. That they would, that it'd be recognized. That I really pulled something off that was intense that day. And those are all my most memorable waves, or just those waves. And obviously my other most memorable waves was when I pulled back. And I really should have gone. And you can never get that back. Those are painful. And of course, half my pain, all my pain is that, what would they have said had I pulled into that wave and gone for it? We're talking about, you're like staring down a 4-story building off the edge of a 4-story building and just dropping your surfboard under you and just you're just flying into that thing, and that thing pitches towards the shore. Like as big as the wave is, it pitches towards the shore in a giant barrel. You don't want to pull back there, man. You'll never forget it. And I remember every single wave that I pulled back. I didn't pull back a lot, believe me, but the few I did, I will never live it down. And therefore, I know in my life that there's those go for it moments, and you just got to go for it. That makes all the difference in life. And but it was all calculation. So everyone just take a moment before we turn off the lights and get real present. Turn off the AC and get really present. Is think for a moment how much calculating you'd be doing in one day to somehow project your day to be safe. Like, think how much projection's involved there. Not a lot of time for presence. And then you ask yourself, well, or I ask you, like, have you tried to have a relationship with the infinite? And I'm telling you, the infinite is shining through you. That's your battery pack. The infinite's shining through you. It's your conscious mind, the conscious mind, not the mind not the brain calculating. So we went as simple as crossing a room to hijacking presence, to, wow, I'm on a psychologically layered level calculating all day long in ways I don't even know. Because think about it, you really know? You know how you calculate based on your boo-boos of the past? It's so built in you, you could never even describe it. What's your name?
David.
David, you couldn't even describe it. I mean, unless you were like this masterful personal growth freak who like totally knows how he'd calculate, which you wouldn't do anymore, because once you know how you'd calculate, would you keep calculating? No, because it's ripping you off. You're a victim of your calculation. All that part of your brain that's premeditating every situation is stealing your life. And can you imagine dying before you were able to figure out how you calculate? How scary would that be? I mean, can you imagine God asking you, like, you know, Maggie? Can you imagine God asking you, what's your name?
Rachel.
Can you imagine God asking you, Maggie and Rachel? When you turn one, you know, if you died before you figured out how you've been spending your whole life in a dream, calculating to avoid scenarios that could show up similar to scenarios that were painful in the past, that'd be scary. And then God would be like, okay, you forgot to live. You forgot to live. Don't forget life. Life only really begins when you're present. That's when life is. And you've had those moments and you yearn for them, right? Don't you yearn for those great present moments? And why aren't they more often? Why don't you have them more often? The answer is because I've got layered calculations going on that keep hijacking the presence. They keep hijacking my present being. And so I rarely get to break through to something that feels divine. And that's why it's just so important that you figure it all out. You got to figure out how you calculate. It's not enough just to go to some new age thing and like just go, you know, or eat some magic mushroom or something. I mean, that's powerful. It would certainly set a new vision perhaps for you that would be, you know, better than the one you had, but you're not gonna know how you calculate. That's not gonna be so clear. And so you'll probably wind up falling right back into your calculations soon afterwards. Anyway, so we got to get that wired. Okay, here we go. We're going to go full presence. On the count of 4, we're going to snap our fingers. So everyone get your snappers ready? Get your snappers ready. On 4, we're going to snap. So I'm going to say 1, 2, 3, and then on 4, we'll snap. And then you're going to take a breath, and you're just going to be totally present. David, you can stand still at the beginning and then take a seat. We'll leave it off for a while. Ready? So on 2, press it. 1, 2, 3. Open your eyes, Relax your arms if they're not relaxed. Many of you are thinking you still have to do something for this. I'd rather you have your eyes open and watch the thoughts go by and see how they suddenly got less imperative. They got less, they just took on less they dropped a lot of their meaning in your presence. So let's do it again. We're going to do it a few times. Ready? And I knew, by the way, a lot of people were going to go like that or like that. And it's fine. Let's keep our eyes open and stay present so we can watch some thoughts, because the eyes take in tons of stimulation, so there will be thoughts. But watch the thoughts. That's all you need, is to see it. Once you see it, it'll go quiet. Here we go. 1, 2, 3. Now, the infinite is interfacing with us right now. The finite exists only by the moment. If you think this room was here a minute ago, it was not. It does exist psychologically, meaning there's something called psychological time, which is the room that was here a minute ago, but it's purely psychological. Someone show me the room from a minute ago. You can't. It's a psychological phenomenon. And a minute from now is also a psychological thing, because time, we get fooled by time. We start to think we're walking along some time continuum, some like space-time continuum. There is a space-time continuum, but it only exists now, because God only creates it now. God is creating the world. He's mechadish the world. He's renewing it. B'chol yom tamid ma'asav reishis. He's constantly renewing the creation, the actual 10 utterances. If you were to stop saying, let there be vegetation upon the earth, all your tables would disappear. This room is being created now by this creator. This is the USB cable interface between God and creation. And you can witness that and be part of it, just being here. Which is why I tell Gentiles, stop saying you want to convert to Judaism. Because I know a lot of people who keep Judaism, they don't have this. And it can totally occupy your life to just be in touch with God, just like this. And then when you get really good at it, you can go to work, and you can go play, and you can go do your thing. And I imagine me shooting through the forest on my mountain bike yesterday. And Friday, I'm also going surfing, because the waves are really big right now. And like, do that surfing. Feel the interface. Feel the interface when you're with your spouse, when you're hugging your children. We're supposed to be doing this all the time, my friends. This isn't like a special day in the essentials class for this. It's not like a little special moment where we're going to be present. You're supposed to be present always. And that's the disappointment of the Jews, is that we get so busy with our mitzvahs, we forget to actually experience God in the mitzvah. There's a lot to do. I mean, there's 55,000 laws, and I'm keeping them, but I catch myself, getting caught up in the details sometimes. And I do the details. I'm not going to not do them, but I'm going to make sure that I'm present in the experience, which takes preparation before the mitzvah. You got to get ready for the mitzvah, because you might miss your mitzvah. Any of you light candles Shabbos night? Anyone here lights candles? A couple ladies light Shabbos candles. So this time, don't light them so quickly. Wait a moment. Wait a moment. Get yourself present to your mitzvah. Anyone here make Kiddush Shabbos night? Kiddush. Tonight, this Shabbos, take a moment before you start. Make sure you're there. Make sure you're not projecting, because the only thing in the way of your dinner is Kiddush. So maybe we can just get it out of the way here. Are mitzvahs in your way? Is benching in your way to get where you got to go? Or is mincha in your way to get your evening plans started? Okay, let's snap on 4. Ready? 1. This time we're really going to be totally here, but watching our thoughts a little bit. Keeping the eyes open so that there's some thoughts running. 1, 2, 3. take it on that this is not special. This is the way life is supposed to be. No calculating necessary. Doesn't matter if I like you or not. Doesn't matter if I think you're smart. It just doesn't matter. You're just you, and that's great. However smart you are at this point is how smart you are at this point. And I certainly don't judge people based on brains. So just enjoy. Okay. Let's go a little deeper. You had a question?
I just wanted to know, you're not supposed to think about the future at all.
Do you think I would tell you not to think about the future or plan? First, I already said it earlier. You missed me saying it. Of course, you're supposed to plan. You gotta plan.
Pay attention to the future the whole time?
You shouldn't pay attention to the future never, except while planning. Only while planning. Might be good for you to write out your plans. Just get them on paper, then you can fold it up and put it away. Like I'm one of the busier people I know. I got my plans all on my calendar. I never think about my calendar. I'm lucky if I look at it before I go to bed for the next day. So I'll just wake up to it. Let's see what's there. Sometimes I don't look at it in the morning either, which is really bad. Meaning I don't look till after I've prayed. And then I'm like, oh, I gotta run. And I race out and didn't eat anything and didn't have time to have breakfast with my wife or something. But yeah, you just get your plans somewhere. Get them off-site. Put your plans off-site. You know what that means, off-site? Yeah. Like put your thoughts in the cloud. You know, in cyberspace. Put your plans in the cloud. As long as they're there, you're all set. You might need a buzzer. Like, you can get so present. Like, I'm pretty present. I need something to buzz. I heard that the new iPhone watch, is it called an iPhone watch? What's it called? Apple Watch? iWatch? They don't. Is there a name for that watch? Anyway, I heard it. It actually can detect your heart rate. Can it even warn you if something's wrong?
Yes. Yes.
A Fitbit watch can do your heart rate, your pulse too.
No, I think this is something else. I think it actually can. I think it can monitor for irregularities while you're having your day go on.
Right, but.
That's pretty cool. It's a lot better than dropping, you know, and finding out after, you know, that had you only pressed check. You know. Anyway, but I might get one of those if it actually checks for you. That'd be cool. So then you never have to check because it's checking. Okay, where are we at? We're good. So I wanted to go deeper. You guys want to go deeper, or is it late? Oh, it's after 4. Shalom, everybody. Have a beautiful day. Keep it up, though. Don't leave the meditation we're in right now. This is where it's at. Stay with it.